Khulna, Bangladesh, late 1990s. A port city where the river carries salt air and secrets. Tonight, we open a file that shaped a generation's fear, the rise and fall of Ershad Shikder, a local power broker turned convicted murderer who used influence, business fronts, and violence to control a city's heartbeat. He was executed by hanging on May 10, 2004 at the Khulna district jail. This is Haunted Action. I'm your host, Nazif. As the story that we are telling is true, so we keep it non-graphic because dignity matters.
The following program contains mature themes, including references to real-world crime and disturbing events. It is intended for adult audiences. While non-graphic, some listeners may find the content distressing. Please listen with care, pause if you need to, and use headphones around others. Listener discretion is advised.
Ershad Shikder was born in 1955 in what is now called Nalchiti Upazila, Bangladesh. Over the years, he became known in Khulna as a businessman, a political actor, and according to numerous reports, a violent enforcer. He switched political loyalties more than once and served as an elected ward commissioner. Through the late 1980s into the 1990s, reporting suggests his operations expanded. Property seizure, extortion, and intimidation. One ice factory in Khulna's 4th Ghat area became central to his economic and territorial control and has been described in reporting as a site tied to torture and violence. By the time of his arrest in 1999, authorities had filed dozens of cases against him. These reportings varies from 43 criminal cases overall to multiple murder indictments, illustrating the scale of allegations surrounding his network. To understand how a single person could exert this much control, you need the local context. The Khulna region is a strategic commercial zone. In the 1990s, political patronage and local muscle often overlapped. Multiple news sources describe Ershad Shikder as benefiting from political ties across different periods while cultivating a fear-based network. The ice factory was more than a business. Reports say he forced market traders to buy ice from him, consolidating revenue and leverage. That economic control translated into social power. When money and fear move together, most people stay quiet. But the fear creates records. police reports, court dockets, survivor statements, and those records would eventually catch up with him. Among the many cases associated with Shikdar, one became pivotal: the murder of Khalid Hossain, a local leader. In May 1999, Bangladesh Supreme Court Appeal Division upheld Shikdar's death sentence in this case. Earlier courts had already handed down death sentences. The incident is repeatedly cited as occurring at the ice factory. Why did this case matter so much? It connected a name, political victim, a place with a history of coronation, and a power defendant. The court's confirmation of the death sentence in December 2003 set a legal path toward the execution that would occur the following year. In true crime, individual names can get buried under labels like notorious or serial. We'll say this clearly: Khalid Hossain was a real person, a victim with family, colleagues, and a future that was cut short. Here's where we stay careful with facts, because counts vary across sources. Some outlets say Shikdar was convicted of 7 murder cases, with additional life sentences. Others report 11 murder convictions, with around 20 more cases still pending when he died. Across reporting, the alleged total killing attributed to him and his network range widely. From 50 to 70 plus are often quoted figures in newspapers and summaries, based in part on statements from his close associate Noor Alam. Noor Alam described dozens of killings in the court. These are allegations and statements to authorities. Not all were adjudicated to final judgment. What's not disputed is courts handled multiple death sentences to Shikdar, and when his mercy petition to the president was rejected, a May 10, 2004 execution date was set and carried out at Khulna District Jail. Bangladeshi and international outlets reported on the execution at that time. Again, we are avoiding speculation. Where facts conflict, I'll say so. Where courts concluded, I'll anchor there. Authorities arrested Ershad Shikder in 1999. Over the next year, high-profile hearings moved through the courts. By late 2003, the Appellate Division upheld a death sentence tied to Khalid Hossain's case. In April 2004, reports indicate his clemency appeal was denied. Execution followed shortly after, just after the midnight on May 10, 2004, a minute past midnight. International outlets, including the BBC and UPI, covered the event, reflecting how much attention this case drew beyond Khulna. Multiple reports depict a city living under a climate of intimidation in the 1990s. The takeover of local businesses, forced commerce, and a network where political allegiance could translate into impunity until it didn't. The ice factory shows up again and again in these accounts, symbolizing how businesses fronts can become centers of coercion when the rule of law is weak. There's also the story of Nur Alam, a right-hand man who, according to reports, gave statements in the court describing 24 killings and implicating Shikder in many more. Those statements helped investigators and prosecutors build cases, even if not every allegation reached final judgment. For Khulna's people, this wasn't a headline, it was daily life. The execution didn't erase the loss felt by families of the dead, named and unnamed. Years later, reporting would still trace ripples, like the tragic 2022 death of one of Shikder's daughters in Dhaka, covered as an apparent suicide. That too is part of the human cost a case like this leaves behind. For true crime listeners, the lesson is not the spectacle of violence, it's vigilance, how political patronage, economic control, and fear can let a single figure dominate a city until institutions, courts, witnesses, and journalists push back. Tonight, we covered a painful chapter from Khulna, Bangladesh, the rise and fall of Ershad Shikder. Executed on May 10, 2004, after counts affirmed multiple death sentences, most notably the murder of Khalid Hussein, and as dozens of other cases surrounding his name. If you were one of the murder victims of Ershad Shikder, or if you were in Bangladesh terrorized by his incidents, our thoughts are with you. Real people lived this, real families still carry it. If you value careful, non-graphic true crime that centers victims and facts, follow Haunted Action and share this episode. Good night.